So, what if financial freedom wasn't just about some magic number in your bank account? What if it was really about building what experts are calling a rich life? Well, we've pulled together the playbook from some of the top entrepreneurs and investors out there and distilled it into a clear, actionable guide. Let's dive in. Right off the bat, we're starting with this powerful idea from entrepreneur Iman Gaji. Look, this isn't about those shady get-rich-quick schemes. Not at all. It's about finding the get-rich-quicker path. And what does that mean? It means working smarter, not just grinding harder. And that's really what we're going to dig into here. Finding that intelligent path to real wealth. So here's our game plan. First, we've got to define our destination. What even is a rich life? Then we're going to break down the 5 key pieces to get there. We've got the engine. That's your mindset. The vehicle, your strategy. The fuel, how you spend your money. Then there's the long road of investing. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a much-needed reality check.
Okay, section 1. What are we actually working towards? Before we get into any of the how-tos, we have to define the goal. Because a rich life, well, it's about so much more than what's in your bank account. Financial expert Ramit Sethi just nails it with this quote. The goal isn't the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is just a tool, right? The real prize is a life of freedom, fulfillment, and those moments that actually matter. This is your why. This is the thing that has to power you through this entire journey. All right, moving on to section 2, the engine. Before you even think about tactics or business models, the internal work has to come first. You got to get this part right, the right mindset. It's the foundation that lets you build something that actually lasts. And a huge piece of this comes down to the idea of takers versus givers. Takers are always thinking, what's in it for me? And honestly, they often just get stuck. But givers focus on providing value first. And here's the paradox. By focusing on giving, they end up attracting way more success and opportunity. It's such a powerful shift in how you see the world.
And you know what shapes that internal state? Your language, the words you use. As Ramit Sethi points out, your words literally create your reality. If you tell yourself, I can't afford that, well, guess what? You've just created a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you just shift that to something like, okay, how can I afford that? Or, I just haven't learned how to do that yet. It changes everything. You've turned a dead end into an open road.
Okay, so our mindset engine is running. Now, for section 3, we need to choose our vehicle. This is the strategic part of the whole playbook, because let me tell you, pure hard work is not the answer. The strategy you choose, that is everything.
This Warren Buffett quote, which Iman Gaji talks about a lot, just illustrates the point perfectly. I mean, think about it. You can be the hardest working rower in the entire world, but if you're in a leaky little rowboat, you are not getting very far. Meanwhile, the person in the speedboat is going to fly right past you with hardly any effort. That boat, that's your business model. It's your career path.
And before we even get to specific business models, it's so important to understand the difference between a job and a career. A job, well, that's often just about trading time for short-term income. A career, on the other hand, is a long-term path for building real skills and real wealth. Choosing that career path is the first crucial step in choosing the right boat.
So, which boat should you choose? Entrepreneur Iman Gaji breaks down 5 really popular online business models here. Let's kind of walk through this. Look at something like dropshipping, where you sell products you don't actually hold in stock. It takes a few $1,000s to get started, but the risk and the difficulty are both high. Not great. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have software. Yeah, it's super scalable, but you're looking at $250,000 just to start, and it's incredibly hard to pull off. In SMMA, a social media marketing agency, is cheap to start, low risk, but it's really hard to scale because you're selling your time. But now, look at that last row. Digital Products 2.0. Gaji basically argues that with almost no startup capital, low risk, and super high scalability, this is probably the smartest boat for most people who are just starting out today.
All right, so we've got our mindset, we've got our vehicle. Now in section 4, we need some fuel. And this is all about managing your money, not through painful, restrictive budgeting, but with intention, so you can focus on your bigger goals. A really powerful technique for this is the zero-based budget. The idea is super simple. You give every single one of your dollars a job to do. You add up all your income for the month, then you assign all of it to expenses or savings or goals until you're literally left with zero. The biggest benefit, especially when you're starting out, is that it forces you to become hyper-aware of where your money is actually going. But, and this is a really crucial next step that Ramit Sethi points out, while a budget creates awareness, obsessing over every single dollar can trap you in small-minded thinking.
I mean, seriously, if you're spending all your mental energy debating whether to buy a $3 coffee, you have no energy left to focus on the $30,000 wins, like negotiating a huge raise or scaling your business. The point is to use budgeting to get aware, and then graduate to focusing on the big picture.
Okay, time to shift gears and talk about Section 5, the long road of investing. This is where real generational wealth is actually built. And it's not about quick trades or trying to time the market. It's about one thing: patience. This insight from the legendary Charlie Munger is just pure gold. It completely flips the common script on its head. The money isn't made in the action, not in the buying, not in the selling. The real superpower is your ability to wait. It's the waiting that lets the magic of compounding really do its thing.
And this idea is just reinforced so beautifully here. That urge, that constant itch to do something, to trade, to tweak your portfolio, to react to every bit of news, that is your biggest enemy as an investor. The discipline to simply sit on your hands and do nothing and just let your good investments grow, that is one of the hardest and yet most profitable skills you can ever learn.
Okay, we've covered mindset, strategy, and patience, but our final section is arguably the most important one of all: the reality check. Because the path to success is never, ever a straight line, and it is absolutely vital to understand what's really involved.
You've probably heard of this, the iceberg illusion. We see the success, right? The tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. From the outside, it often looks effortless, maybe even just lucky. But what we don't see is the massive, hidden foundation of work under the surface that makes the whole thing possible.
And this is what's under the water. The hardship, the countless failures, the sacrifices, the disappointments, the relentless, grinding discipline. It's all the slow days where nothing seems to be working. It's the grind that nobody ever sees or applauds. Every single success story is built on a mountain of this unseen work. Understanding this is the key to not giving up when things inevitably get tough.
So we'll end on this question. The real journey